Check, mic check, 1, 2.
Yo, is this thing on or what?
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Platform Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dex. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're listening in on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us a follow, leave us that 5-star review, leave us a comment with any guests that you want to see on upcoming shows. And if you have any questions for the guests on the show, make sure you put them in there. Today, this episode is going to be brought to you by Make It Now Media, full-service graphic design team that does everything from event flyers to monthly schedules, EPKs, motion graphics, logos, and more. I've worked with them a ton. They actually redid my logo, and you will actually get a discount code if you use the word platform right now. You can use it to freshen up your branding, get that spring schedule out, anything else that you want to do. With so many DJs tuning into episodes and listening to the mixes that come out every week, you definitely got to check them out. Use them for any of your flyers, anything like that. They are awesome. Today on the show, we got an amazing guest. He's a resident at LA Jackson's, right in the Gulch, awesome hotel. He's a musician himself. We were actually just talking about what he was doing drumming before. And then he's also a tour DJ for country star Thomas Rhett. I've got Daniel Ian Jones sitting down with me today. How's it going, man?
We're good.
Yeah?
Everything's good. We're just kind of chilling, you know. Luna's...
Watching my co-host just go hammer right now.
Yeah.
What are you doing, fucking weirdo?
That's funny.
We got the co-host Luna here too. She's always hanging out. But yeah, man, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down,
Yeah, man.
Be on the show. I know you're going to have a lot to talk about just with your experience in the industry, musically your experience, and then obviously now as a DJ. So we'll get into a lot of things of just tour life, your brand outside of DJing and outside of tour life,
Sure.
just some future goals and everything that you want to get done here. So to get started, I mean, just tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how long you've been in the industry, and give us a fun fact.
Oh, a fun fact. Okay. Well, I'll start with the things that are not so fun. I think I've been playing drums since I was about 3 years old. I got a drum set. I think my parents got me my first drum set at 3.
Okay.
So I just grew up playing in church, and then that turned into just playing gigs around town in Nashville and meeting a lot of people. So from a music industry standpoint, probably 20 years. I came up teaching high school percussion programs, college percussion programs. I think I started DJing in 2017. So I've only been DJing for about 7 years. LA Jackson was my first gig, and it is still running strong. Fun fact about me is I would bathe myself in Publix buffalo chicken dip. I love that stuff so much. That's like one of my favorite things in the world right now. And
when I moved here, like I would always hear people talking about like, oh, the Publix deli.
Facts.
It's like it just must be a thing in the
unmatched.
South.
It's unmatched, bro. And yeah, in every way. But I recently discovered the buffalo chicken dip, probably like this summer, and the game has been changed entirely. Isn't that right, Luna?
How often are you stopping there?
Bro,
is it like a weekly
that's
thing?
Like part of my my weekly grocery like Instacart order.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Damn.
It stays stocked in my fridge. That and LaCroix.
But yeah, I mean, coming up in the music industry, you said you were teaching high school, teaching other people, just mainly all percussion, just surrounding your drums and your talent there. As far as yourself, I mean, were you classically trained musically, or is it drumming just something you taught yourself over the time, or what?
Kind of both. So I think I had 1 year of drum lessons, like on drum set, in like the 8th grade year. I homeschooled like through middle school, so I didn't get like a traditional training like in school. Which is cool. We're comfy. So I think I did lessons for a year in the 8th grade, and then I joined like the high school band.
Okay.
For my freshman year, quit my sophomore year because I was playing soccer, so it was like conflicting schedules.
Yeah. You can't drum for yourself while you're playing?
Yeah, can't do that. I tried. I really did. And then officially joined like my junior year, and that just kind of took off. So then I ended up going to school, studying percussion performance, orchestral emphasis, and that's what I started out. And then I moved forward and changed my major to music business with like a jazz composition emphasis, you know. And then I just got busy and just started working, you know. So yeah, there's a little bit of classically trained Daniel somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that just kind of I just lend those skills to kind of what I do now. The way I approach my DJ sets, and even kind of from a production and arrangement standpoint. So yeah.
Yeah, because you've been doing more production wise yourself too. Obviously, DJ wise, I'm sure that has to help so much. Just even
Totally.
knowing how to understand music theory, and whatever else that you got to do. But I mean, just not starting from scratch as a DJ, where
Sure.
you're trying to count music. You already know how to do all that. You know what's going to fit musically, whether it's in key,
Right.
what's going to work into this next transition. Kind of gives you a little bit more ideas of where to go with that.
Yeah, so I went through like a big soundtrack phase. I guess my freshman, junior year of high school, where I listened to like a lot of like Hans Zimmer, Klaus Badelt, and then also I did this nerdy thing called drum corps, which is like marching band on steroids.
Okay.
And then so that introduced me to a lot of composers. Plus, being in college, I listened to the Tchaikovskys and the Gustav Holsts, and so I spent a lot of time listening to like long form compositions.
Yeah.
And so that taught me about music, which then didn't transfer it over into like jazz. I spent like a decade listening nothing but jazz and jazz influenced music, which then taught me a lot of language, a lot of vocab musically, not just like music theory, but just like the way people talk using their instruments. So then once I got through, I'm kind of just jumping as far forward into this thing, but once I kind of got through, the drumming portion or the drumming emphasis of my career, and DJing started taking over, those skills just kind of transferred. Mm-hmm. So then as a DJ, I kind of approach my sets from like a long form arrangement emphasis. So if you listen to a classical, any type of composition, there is always forward motion. It's always going somewhere. And that's how I kind of think of my DJ sets, So if I can not interrupt the flow
Yeah.
as much as possible, I guess is the way to phrase that, by picking the right songs with the right harmonic qualities or the right rhythmic qualities, mixed qualities, then I'm doing, at least my ear is satisfied. Mm-hmm. And then hopefully the people in the room are satisfied too,
Yeah, you're able to just blend one seamlessly right to the next.
Right.
Just because of the knowledge that you have of music.
Yeah, and just kind of my own kind of what makes sense to my brain.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm saying anything that people aren't thinking about, but somehow it makes sense to my brain in a specific way that really affects people,
Yeah.
And then it gets me more gigs.
Yeah. So when and how did you ultimately make the jump from drumming to DJing?
I still drum. I put it on the back burner for now. But I spent, so basically like COVID 2020, as tragic as it was, like that whole year, one of the biggest blessings for me was the fact that I wanted to practice like it was my full-time job.
Yeah.
So during those COVID months, I had a lockout room up in North Nashville, and 24/7 access. Like I had my drums, and I would get there at 5:30 in the morning, and I would practice till 2:30 in the afternoon, 5 days a week. And I treated it like it was a full-time job, and I'm just like pushing until I burn myself out, getting ready for the world to open back up, just waiting for the world to open back up, and so I could be ready for those gigs. And when the world opened up, the touring world from that world, like the live musician side, was weird for a long time, but the DJ thing just took off. It was already taken off for me back in 2017, 2018, but the way that the doors opened up for me in DJing were the doors that I was waiting for on the drumming side. So with a lot of deliberation, I chose to just pivot and allow myself to ride that wave. And then I found myself in a lot of different crazy situations that I never would have expected to be in,
Yeah.
So it just kind of made sense after I just kind of gave into it, just let it happen,
Was it something you were like fighting for a while and you didn't want to?
Yeah, well, yeah, because I've known what I've wanted to be or wanted to do for a long time. I knew at 3 years old I wanted to play drums. Mm-hmm.
Is it in your family, or was anybody else drumming, or what?
I only have one other person that's in my family that does music, and he does it at a really high level. He's been Macklemore's trombone player for like the last 7 years. His name is Darius.
Yeah.
He's out in LA. But other than that, it's just he's played with everybody. Man, he's played with like Rihanna. He's played with But he and I are the only two in our family that really have gotten to this point in our lives with music. So we're kind of black sheep in it, you know, but that just kind of made the uniqueness of what we do even stronger.
Yeah.
And just for me, it was like a driving point.
And you were talking about just how you kind of look at things and arrange things for your sets, just going off of what you know jazz wise and just long form composition of looking at an entire set as kind of a show or a concert or however you want to look at it. When you're going through a preparation, are you someone that you're going through and you're putting like a full set list together, or is it something that you still kind of just freestyle it on the go?
Okay, so it's a great question. And you know, I think when you look at seasons, you kind of look, and you look at context, you look at kind of like what that level of preparation looks like. But I think foundationally speaking, DJing for me was what playing drums was always supposed to be in my mind.
Okay.
And it was just playtime. I get down and whatever was under my fingers just came out, and it was just supposed to be magic. And that's what DJing is. So like the spontaneity of that is so super, super, super important. So I always kind of want to leave room for that. So in that, I found what works for me. The key components that I have to have like rhythm. I have to have syncopation. I have to have a certain level, a certain type of mix that feels good in my ears, like from a producer standpoint, that type of mix quality. And then I've kind of built a bed of things that I use from there, just like we all do. And then I just kind of add and kind of like arrange from there, you know? So then I've kind of built little mini sets or mini like motions or movements, depending on what context I'm using. Cause you know, private event is different from playing a club at 11 o'clock, which is different than playing a club at 3 o'clock, you know what I'm saying? So then I have different pockets for different things. And then I just kind of add and arrange things from there, you know what I'm saying?
You got different recipes built up in Serato. You're just adding a little bit different flavor in each time.
Exactly.
Yeah, gotcha.
100%.
Yeah, that's how, I mean, I have same kind of thing where it's like I have a set for this venue at this time, and then it's like if you're playing the same venue at a different time, you're going to have a completely different vibe.
Right.
And then obviously, like we were just talking about hotels and corporate events, stuff like that, where it's like you have the ability to play different sets at all these different spots, and it's something that you do have to prepare for. Even if you do go off the track of what you have prepped, at least you still have like a baseline for it.
Yeah, I think it's important to have like a deep knowledge of music, like a deep vocabulary, right? Because one thing I learned in jazz is it's a conversation. And jazz being an improvisational art form, you know, the information that you're putting out completely depends on the information that's coming in from another person on the stage.
Yeah.
You know, or the crowd. As a DJ would be from the crowd, since you know that's the input. So then, you know, that improvisational aspect is so important, you know. So then I have crates on crates and sub crates and sub crates and sub crates, you know, of stuff. But then once I do that prep, I kind of let it go and just kind of let what comes.
Yeah.
You know? And then, you know, and that's generally kind of like an open format set. If it's a tour set, it's a little bit different. But then we can probably get to that at some other point. But yeah, be prepared.
Yeah.
But
that's what you would put out for younger DJs.
Yeah, be prepared. But then also like embrace the improvisational spontaneity. Like, you know, find that good balance. You know, what works for you. You know?
I was literally just at 1230 Club this past Saturday, and being spontaneous was one of the best parts of the entire set. That got like the biggest reaction was there's always just bachelorette parties for days, just on that rooftop, just hanging out all during the day. And it was like,
it's a city.
Yeah. It was a noon to 4 shift where it's like, if the weather's finally turning, it's getting nice out, big ass bachelorette party of like 20 girls. This dude comes over. It's like 2 PM, takes his shirt off, starts like dancing up on the girls like he was Magic Mike. And they're
bro,
all
I saw
like,
that video.
Yeah.
I saw you post it on your story, bro.
So they're all going crazy. And I like look over, I saw him take his shirt off, and I was in the middle of playing something else. And I just quick went into Pretty Ricky Grind on Me. And like as soon as it dropped, the entire rooftop was all just staring at him and just all started going crazy. And it's just like for that full song, everyone was just going wild just off of something like that, where I was like, I saw him and I was like, Oh yeah,
Yes, sir.
I gotta drop this real quick.
And that's the benefit of being prepared.
Yeah.
You dig and dig and dig and dig and dig and until it becomes second nature. And then once moments pop up, that's when those moments of improv like become magic.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we're all chasing when we're DJing. Hopefully, we're all chasing that magic, you know, and then you made that entire party's day.
Yeah.
You know, which is really cool.
It's even funny just outside of that party, you see like everybody else just looking at that party and like enjoying it even more, taking their phones out, recording, laughing, like all that kind of shit. So it's wild. But as far as you and your sets, like what do you like to play? What's your go-to style of DJing?
So I pride myself on variety and being able to be versatile, you know. So that really depends. Like, this may be like a really elevated type of answer, but like I really just like trying to find what fits the aesthetic of the room and the people that are in it, you know.
Yeah.
So like for me, you know, I don't have the music that I love right now at this moment is Amapiano.
Yeah.
That's my shit right now. Like that's what I love more than anything. But I know that there's a place for that. You know, I come from a deep hip hop background. You know, I love hip hop. You know, like the Lupe Fiascos, like lyricism and things like that. But you know, these days, man, I think the answer to that question is moving with the room. You know what I'm saying? So like I literally dig all day, every day, you know, and it literally is tech house, Latin tech house, electro house. It could be, you know, hip hop, 90s hip hop, golden era hip hop, deep underground stuff, you know what I'm saying? And just kind of finding the rooms for that, you know? So at this point, I don't necessarily have anything that I say I really love to play more than anything else.
Yeah.
I just really love the work of finding that specific, like that specific feel for this specific moment, you know? And I think even though that may be a little bit of an amorphous answer to maybe a specific question that you gave me.
No, you're good.
I think that there's like, I think that's just what I'm thinking about. I'm trying to color the situation that I'm in. So if it's 90s hip hop at 3:00 in the afternoon on a brunch shift and that's what's working, like I'll go all the way there. You know what I'm saying? But if it's like, you know, I don't know, Katy Perry or Cole Swindell, you know, at my white limo shift that I may have, you know, at 6:00 in the evening around dinner time. And if it fits and if it adds that right color to the room, I don't care.
Yeah,
know
you can still just go into whatever pocket for what's ever in front of you at that time.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's different so much with here in Nashville. It's like you never know what you're going to get because there's tourists every single weekend of different crowds every single weekend. So it's like you could get people that want to hear some Amapiano stuff. You can get some people that want to hear dance hall. You can get that group that wants to hear 90s hip hop. And then you can get people that want sing along Katy Perry shit all night. So it's kind of nice to be able to play all those different things. But then it also, I feel like it like pushes me as a DJ because it's like, all right, I have to be ready to play. I need to know all this kind of different stuff.
Yeah.
Which is fun because then for me, it's just nice listening to different music where I'm not listening to the same kind of shit all the time. And I feel like so many people are so closed-minded musically, like especially with a genre like Amapiano, like where you can't necessarily drop it at midnight at like a club, but even still, it's like you can have like the vibe in the room for it. And I feel like so many people just don't want to like open their mind musically to enjoy it as like a new genre of music that they might not typically listen to.
Yeah. Okay, so that brings up a good point. You know, I think I might have posted it on my story a couple weekends ago. Nashville can be kind of in the narrow side of what's acceptable musically. You know? And there's so many factors to that. You know, we're a business city. You know, we're not necessarily a music city. We're a business city. So we're a city that generates a lot of money through like tourism and through the activity that comes through the city. So then like you go with what makes the money, right? So I think that sets the overall pace for like levels of creativity here. So then I think that narrows what's acceptable because you kind of cut out everything else just to go for the money, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But where it becomes kind of troublesome is when you put people like us in a room who are tastemakers, who are people that are probably ahead of the curve when it comes to what's trending, because we're always looking. Where it becomes troublesome is when we don't have the ability to do that, when we don't have the ability to dictate, what's cool, So then to answer your question, what do I like playing at this point in time? I like playing the stuff that's like, that people don't know about yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I just kind of like try to drive it home until like people start taking note of it. So like case in point, I think I used this example in my story. Tyla, Water, that blew up on TikTok, right? Make me swim, make me, everybody knows that song, right? And I've been hyping Amapiano for 2 years now, 2 summers. And now people are aware of that song, not realizing that that's what that is.
Yeah.
But then so I put that song on in a venue, a white limousine, where that type of genre just doesn't typically work. So I played that one song. Everybody in that room knew every word to that song, that chorus. So then I started introducing like Amapiano edits of Beyonce and Rihanna, and then maybe I'll throw a little bit of like true like private school Amapiano from South Africa. A couple songs that felt good that may not be familiar. And then I just kind of weave my way out of it. And just slowly start changing the taste of kind of the rooms that I'm in. So maybe that's my favorite thing to do. And right now, Amapiano is the focus because globally, that's going to be the next. That's probably the biggest genre right now globally.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That and Afro House. That tropical sound is what's taking over, So young DJs, take note, do your homework. But yeah, just like, so maybe that's the answer to that question then.
Yeah.
I like playing the things that people don't yet know about, but are on the way.
Yeah. Introducing people to new music is awesome.
The coolest thing we do.
Yeah.
Like
if I see somebody take out a phone and start like Shazamming something I'm playing, it makes me feel like I'm doing something right.
Facts. Big facts.
Instead of just like playing the same songs that everyone already knows that, I mean, you even if you know that they're going to work, it's still just like, it feels boring sometimes just playing the same kind of stuff. And you want to introduce new music, but then like you're saying, I do feel like a lot of times, whether it's the venue or whether it's from the clientele that are in the venue, as a DJ, you kind of almost get like handcuffed by it, where you don't always get the opportunity to introduce new music to people.
Sure.
Whether these venues like don't want hip hop, they don't want this, they only want like this specific pocket of music to be played to cater to this crowd. And it's like, you don't know what crowd you're getting in here or what they're going to react to. Like, let me try to work my way into it and see what they're going to like.
Sure.
But sometimes you just don't even get the opportunity for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's okay, as long as you're searching, I think you're good.
Yeah.
As soon as you start becoming complacent or just say, this is what the money is dictating, and then you just say, I'm cool with that, then I don't think you're doing your job.
And just playing the same set every single time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to say that with a little bit of like grace or leniency, because sometimes we fall into our own little like, burnout zones or zones where we don't feel very creative. But I was told, by a drummer that I really look up to, these guys have been playing these songs for 15 years by this point. But one thing that we're all on the same page about is that we're all searching. As soon as we're on that stage, everybody on that stage is searching. Sometimes that's all it is. Even if you play the same songs over and over and over again, if you're still looking for that one song mentally, I think that you're doing the job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, because you never know on a night like that where it's like, even for bands, it's like they could be playing the same song every single night for 15 years, and then as long as they're reading that crowd at the one night, they'd be like, hey, let's go to this next.
Yeah, exactly.
And
you
just
never know what's going to pop off.
Yeah, a little bit different direction.
Yeah.
So Amapiano stuff is great. I've been loving it too. And even, Tyla with Water, they've kind of taken it out of Amapiano and made a million different remixes for it.
Right.
But it's still nice because then it's like, at least the vocals are familiar with everybody. People are starting to pick up on the song, and then hopefully diving more into the genre and other artists of that genre too. As far as you, how much like new hip hop are you playing right now?
Bits and pieces.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of it's not super playable in the club.
That's kind of why I wanted to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I don't want to go and it's super deep into this, but I think if I just kind of mentally went down the process of hip hop in America. Back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, it was like, yo, we got to keep our communities clean with all this, destruction and stuff that's coming in, that's invading. And so it was like really positive, dancey type of things in the 90s, where it was like, yo, the crack epidemic happened and now we're fighting, the authorities and things like that. Now we're fighting amongst ourselves type thing. And then 2000s, all those people became drug dealers. In the 10s, everybody started taking those drugs. And now in the 20s, everybody's just faded from those drugs. And that music has followed that, right? Everything's kind of like low energy. It's not really, we're not amped. We're not dancing. We're not, we're all just like vibing. But the vibe type of thing doesn't really work for the clubs, right? It may work kind of like a couple songs here and there, but like for me, I grew up on like New Jack Swing, Motown Philly and, Belle Biv DeVoe, Teddy Riley. So like that hard syncopation, percussive, like, so dance when it comes to playing music in public is like, that's like my rhythm, With that being said, I have to have respect as a DJ. Part of my job is to spin the new records. So then, finding those records that work is the goal. It's just been harder and harder these days.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. I mean, there's so many where it's like they're all just so down tempo, and it's just like it almost kills the energy in the room. Even if it's someone that's a popular artist, like you get a Lil Baby or somebody like that, that's everybody knows, even if they know the whether they know him as the artist or they know the lyrics of the song, it's just still like the beat can be so down tempo and they're just like no energy, that it feels like as soon as you drop it, you just like sucked all the momentum that you had out of the night. Just by trying to like sprinkle in some new or sprinkle in some hip hop for you there. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely finding the right way to put it in there. I do feel like a lot of the hip hop that is going to like the Jersey club, like the juke kind of style, where it becomes more up tempo, where it's like a 150 BPM track, and just giving it a little bit more energy that way. It's cool to see the direction that a lot of people are going with that, from like a Uzi to a Nicki Minaj to even Drake with like him and Sexy Red. It's just kind of put in a little bit more energy into these songs. So. Yeah,
Ice Spice doing a lot of Jersey club feeling type stuff is really cool, because that's a genre. It's just kind of funny how like stuff you would never expect becomes like something that just works all of a sudden. And Jersey club is one of those things I never expected. That's stuff that I was like, I have a crate that I've never touched. I've maybe played Jersey club maybe 2 or 3 times in my set. But now it's like becoming something, a sound. I'll play like Mr. Brightside and I just want to rock or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because it's 75 BPM and same key and transition into like that Jersey club feel, and it stuff like that works now, but to kind of remedy kind of the inability to find like hip hop that works in the club, I'll look for certain producers, right? Just Blaze always has like a killing remix or a rework of a new song that works for the club, Eccentric,
he's always got shit.
Yeah, Brilliant. I don't know if you know Brilliant.
Yep.
Like he always has really killing, remakes of stuff like that. So then I'll find the song, because people don't care about the beat as much as they care about, their ability to sing the lyrics. Yeah. I think at this point in the game. So then finding a remix where people can sing those lyrics and keep the momentum that you already have going, I think it's a win. Yeah. But if you're asking me to play like the radio version of a song that just came out, I'm like, I know what you want. I know what you're asking for. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to work. Yeah.
Like you might like it, but the rest of the crowd,
it's just not going to work.
Yeah. As far as you, I mean, you were DJing for Thomas Rhett. Yeah. So how did you and Thomas get linked up?
I did this crazy like wedding weekend. I was working with an entertainment company for a very short time. Didn't end up working out because an artist that I'd listened to for like 18 years, their management called me and said, hey, do you want to go on a South America run with us playing drums for her? Okay. I was like, absolutely. I need to talk. I got a couple dates kind of booked with this entertainment company. Let me go talk to them real quick. That conversation didn't go well. But then communication wasn't great with this artist's team either. So then I was like, I'm going to pass this gig off and then just go ahead and do this wedding weekend that I had already booked, broke my heart because I'm like, this is the type of stuff I've been working for a very long time, But then that was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday wedding, which I never do because I just don't love weddings like that. But then that Sunday wedding, Thomas Rhett's front of house engineer, who's also a buddy of mine, Trey Smith, years of gold, one of the best dudes in the game, he was like, bro, you are really good. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. He's like, no, you're really good. You need to come on tour with us. I was like, well, don't talk to me about it. Talk to whoever you need to talk to.
Yeah.
So then he sent my name to Harry Lyons, who's TR's day-to-day manager. And that was the summer of 2022. That was June 2022. And Harry was like, we're good on this fall. I think they had like Rate out with them possibly at that point. No, actually I'm wrong because Rate was on with them, I think in 2019. But then January 3rd, 2023, I got an email from Harry. He was like, hey, we want to toss this opportunity to see if you want it. And I was like, cool. And I was like, what do you need? What do you need musically? This thing. He's like, we trust you to do what you do. And I was just like, bet.
Yeah.
That's what I need, bro. Freedom, So, yeah, I got locked in. We started the tour the first weekend in May. And then, we did all the way up until September 30th, I think. Right?
Yeah.
The last day of September. So it was like 40-something shows. I wasn't on all of them because like some of them were like festivals. Mm-hmm. And Silver has those Live Nation, festivals on lock. So he was out there for those festivals. But anything that they had that was like regular tour stuff,
Arena tour, yeah.
Yeah, I was on.
Yep.
AB Market stuff. It was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the coolest spot that you went to? Where's the best city that you liked?
Man, I think top show of that tour was Boston.
Okay.
Like Boston.
Was it at TD Garden or what?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So Boston, yeah. The room felt nice. It was nice and dark in there. Felt great, just aesthetically. Every day I would walk out. I get off the bus and I would stop and have my breakfast. And then I'd walk out to the arena and just take it in.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this arena feels a certain type of way, But when I tell you that like the crowd and that night was like an elite, just kind of like the stuff you dream about type of experience. Like it was, I think we're sold out at like 18.5. You know what I'm saying? And so the way that my sets were set up with Thomas Rhett. So I play from doors until the first artist went on. So that was about an hour and a half. And I just do whatever I want, And then Nate Smith would go on. And then Cole Swindell would go on. And there was about an 8 to 9 minute changeover. So then I'd play like a 9-minute set of just like, that's what I want them over with all the country hits,
Yeah.
And then after Cole Swindell went on, then I would play a 25-minute set to keep the crowd as hype as possible
Before
TR.
Thomas. Okay.
Yeah. So that was like my balls to the wall, all gas, no brakes type of set. And in that 25 minutes, man, I just remember coming off stage and was just like, this is the stuff that people dream about. This is why we do it. That crowd was wild. It was so nuts, man. I could hear them. I have, my custom in-ears. I could hear them through my in-ears, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how loud that crowd was. So, and I think West Virginia was a close second.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I did not expect.
Yeah, I would feel like West Virginia would be like a super big place for country artists. So I would.
But not a big guy, not a big like city for guys that look like me.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And I've been in West Virginia in a lot of different contexts.
Yeah.
So I just came in. I went in there kind of like with that in mind, but
you weren't setting the bar very high.
Yeah, but they blew me out of the water, bro.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
That was one of my more notable experiences on the road. Yeah.
So I know we were talking about a little bit before of just like how you prepare for different sets, whether it's like a club set or a tour set. As far as like preparation for these, like you're just breaking it down. You're doing the preset, and you're doing in between Nate and Cole. And then you got another 25-minute set. So you're doing essentially 3 different sets, one of them just being a little mini set. Mm-hmm. How are you prepping for those, and how much do those change the night of?
So I have a low threshold for boredom. So if my rule is set a foundation, there's things that are always going to work. Don't change that. And the things that are just kind of like, always just keep my eyes open for like the things that can just kind of like are more flexible song-wise, But I learned... that, that first hour and a half, a little bit, like at least the first hour was more for me, just to get myself in the room as people are filtering in. I would address a crowd at the hour mark. So then that left me 30 minutes left of that first hour and a half set. And that's when I would start amping the room up, But my name is Daniel Ian Jones. Let's hear it one time for Nate Smith. Let's hear it one more time for Cole Swindell. Let's hear it one time for TR, And after that, that's when the party would kind of start, And that's when I would do kind of like the more anthemic stuff, Closer or yeah, 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 or that type of stuff to kind of get the mood going. And I addressed the crowd one more time, probably like the 5-minute mark, I need you to do one thing for me. As soon as Nate Smith hits stage, make him feel right at home, blah, 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 that type of stuff, And then I'd play them out until they came on stage. So then that was a super flexible set. I was going more for feel at that point in time, and that really depended on the room. That depended on how the night went before. And I'm also considering how they feel, like the guys that are going on, because they might have had a bad show last night. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always talking to those guys. How did it feel tonight? And whatever they told me would kind of inform me of what I needed to do or any adjustment I needed to make. Man, we had it just felt weird last night. And it might have even been me, just the crowd was weird. So then I don't want to bring that same type of energy the next night. So then I'll switch something up, kind of in that pivotal moment where they're backstage waiting to come on stage so they can have something new and familiar themselves. So I'm thinking of the crowd, but I'm also thinking of the guys backstage, and I'm thinking of myself, and I'm thinking of the front of house guys because they're going to hear me all summer long, when it got to that, little 9-minute set, just like sing-alongs, I realized country fans don't come to party. They come to sing along to their favorite songs. So then that was my set where I would win them to my side. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, I'm on your team, guys. Here we go. Here's some Shania Twain. Here's some Gretchen Wilson. Here's some, whoever, And so that 8-minute set was really nice because that's when I would see people start really taking to me in that 9 minutes. So to prep them for that 25 minutes. Mm-hmm. And that 25 minutes was just like what you would expect. How much energy can I push into this, and how can I keep them sweating as much as possible, right? Because it's a long show, right? I think Nate Smith was 20 minutes. Cole Swindell was an hour long. He had an hour long set. And then TR was an hour and a half long set or something like that. So I had to do everything I had to do to make sure that they kept sweating, they stayed engaged. So then by city, I would try to prep like for the market that I was in. So if I was in West Virginia, then, take me home, country roads. I had to put something in there like that, Knoxville, I'd probably throw in a Rocky Top on top of, a trap beat or something like that, I'd make my own edits, because I have a low threshold for boredom. So like sometimes country just doesn't hit like in a big arena. If you're playing like through a board, country doesn't hit like some other genres. So then I would just like stack some stuff. I'd be in Ableton all day,
just making blends of
things like that. And then I would just let it go.
Yeah.
TR would be like in the talk back sometimes like, hey, whatever you did last night, bro, do that. Hey, you're killing it, bro. You're murdering this gig. And I'm like, I hear you. Okay, cool. He's like, oh, I hear that. Dude, you didn't do that last night. Bet.
You're taking notes of like, all right, we got to add this to the next
like
show.
He would, every time he would remember, he would make sure to give me some love and tell me like what was working for him and how it made him feel and everything. So, and then I just asked questions. I would talk to the production team. I would talk to them and just like, how does he feel? How does the band feel? I would talk to the band members. Like, how do you feel? Like, do you have anything you want to hear? I know you got family in the crowd. Like, what's your daughter's favorite song? Mm-hmm. And I just took in all that information and I just kind of try to make it as personable as possible. It's not just a DJ, some random guy on his own B stage. It's like, no, you're gonna remember this night. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So
I always look at it like when I go to play in other cities, that's somewhere I look into. I'm like, I'll even look through like list of what are the top songs in these cities.
Yeah, I did a lot of that.
Yeah, but then even for like country, it's a little bit different too. But I feel like so many people that even just like coming to Nashville or thinking of going to country shows, they're just like, they think they're going to hear all country all night. And It's like, bro, when you go to these shows, like if you have a good DJ, they're mixing in a bunch of other shit. You're not just going to be playing country all fucking night.
Right.
And that's where it's important to like look at, okay, we're in West Virginia. Let's play some John Denver. Mm-hmm. We're in some like we're in Georgia, let's play some Kane Brown or somebody like people that are from there, music that's popular there that can fit into the show. That could be something that's gonna get rid of that boredom of not playing the same set for the same room.
Right.
I also think it's awesome though, just touching on getting feedback from the artists too, because if they do have a group of 20 and family or whoever's in town and you do play that one song, that energy coming from that one pocket of people can spread to so many other people in the crowd too.
And to that point, man, okay, so there's not much of this. If you can go to the internet and there's not much of this type of information on the internet. You know what I'm saying? I remember doing my prep work for the tour and I was just like, man, there aren't really DJs talking about what they're doing on these tours, which is kind of wild, right? So that first weekend that I went out, it was the 3-day weekend. It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday shows. And I remember that first weekend I went out and I kind of played it safe in the first 2 days, you know, and I was just like, I don't really know his fans, you know, I just don't know. There's a lot of unknowns here.
Have you ever
know?
been to see him live before at all or no?
I've never seen him live by this point, you know.
Yeah, so you're basically DJing the first time for him without ever listening to him live.
Yeah. And so that first couple days I was like, okay, I mean, I killed the gig, it's cool, but I don't know, man. I felt kind of like reserved, you know. And so I was just like, you know, forget it. On Saturday, I'm just going to do me. And so basically when this is a little secret, but like as soon as I met TR and his musical director, David Cook works for like Taylor Swift. He's been working for her for like a long time, you know, amazing dude. But when I met them, they asked me to put together like a 4.5 minute long pre-roll for their set. So I would finish, and then my pre-roll that I pre-recorded, they would play that. They added that to their session, and then that would go straight into their show, right? Yeah. And I remember that first weekend, getting to that point in the first 2 days was like cool. And we get to that pre-roll. It was because there was a dance cam, so then I would just be hyping up the crowd for like that last 4 minutes of just jumping around on stage. But then that Saturday, I just said, you know, I'm going to do me, and I'm just going to play, and I'm going to play, and I'm going to play. And I played, and I remember that first note that TR sang on that Saturday versus that Friday and that Thursday, and I was like, I know my job. I know my responsibility. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that goes back to the point you were making earlier, like making sure you're paying attention to all the people that are around, because you never know how it's going to affect people. But when I felt the energy coming off of stage on that Saturday, I was like, got it.
Of just way more than the previous nights?
Yeah. I was like, got it. I understand 100% what I need to be doing now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which is really freaking cool. So then everything from there was just like, you know, the idea was because it's the home team tour.
Yeah.
You know, we were going to try to program moments for each market, which after a while it didn't really make a difference. Some specific markets, of course, you know, but what it was finding out, like you said, doing that research, who are the favorite artists that they're listening to right now. Mm-hmm. And then really with those type of crowds, it's familiarity, man. If they can sing it, that's what I'm playing. Yeah. You know, and my job was just to make it as impactful as possible at that point. So
how much are you doing that with creating your own edits and your own blends? Because I feel like something for like a tour like that, just like you were what you were saying, with so many people in the crowd wanting to hear those sing-alongs, but then maybe being able to make your own show edits that are a different beat behind that popular sing-along. I feel like that can make a show so much more impactful. Sure. And then keep it from getting stale and playing the original.
Yeah. Everybody's engaged by this point if you do that, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about crew. Like I'd get off the stage and I'd take my shower after I was done, and then we'd all go to the buses, and there's guys that are just like stage crew that are like, yo, that edit, whatever that was, can you send that to me? You know, I've never heard something like that in my life, you know? And that is, if you can handle the internal aspect of that with your team, it's going to translate to the rest of the room. Mm-hmm. Because if your team buys into you, then the rest of the room, that's what they're here to be told what's cool. You know what I'm saying? So one cool instance of that was like I made this Casey Musgraves edit, High Horses.
Yeah.
And I made an edit with Purple Disco Machine, Fireworks.
Hell yeah.
I
Big
think,
fan of Purple Disco Machine.
Yeah, same. And I think I raised it from E flat to like F sharp, like her vocals.
Yeah.
And I put it on top of there, put it on the internet, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna try it. Casey got wind of it, posted it, and it got like 40K views in one day. You know what I'm saying? So like just little stuff like that. Like, how do I make this what but cooler? And that was pretty much my entire like aim, the entire rest of the tour.
Yeah.
That, like I said, that low threshold for boredom kind of just drives me. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot more fun to be able to add in some of your own stuff, just kind of show off your creativity throughout the tour too.
Yeah.
When you're on tour, I mean, because you said you guys did 40 stops.
I think it was 41 shows.
That would have been 3 months span.
May to October.
So 40 stops in that 5 months. How are you balancing like your personal life, your tour life, and then were you taking gigs still outside of the tour at that time while you're doing those dates too?
Yeah, totally. I want to make sure that this stage in the game that I'm setting up my life for the long term. Mm-hmm. And the long term is health, balance, and variety, right? So with the weekend warrior schedule is amazing. We leave I think midnight on Wednesday night, and we'll be back like 8 a.m. on Sunday morning, maybe sometimes a little later.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that was like our entire tour schedule. Sometimes we leave a little early if there were fly dates. We'd be at the airport at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday, or we'd get back a little bit later on Sunday afternoon. But that was already amazing, So then on Monday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday during the day, not only am I taking care of like my own business, but I'm maintaining relationships, man. I'm at lunch with somebody every single day. I'm at dinner with somebody every single day. I'm cultivating relationships at town because, the thing about Nashville is when people don't see your face, they forget you exist in the business world. You know what I'm saying? So I was making sure, not just from a business standpoint, but like it's important for me to like sit and just talk and get to know people, to see their face,
Yeah.
So then I would make sure that was happening on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays during the day, and then once I got on the bus, then I was investing as best as I could in relationships that were out there. But we're all in our own little worlds, even on that tour. And so then, when I come home, the weekends that they didn't need me, when they were doing festivals and things like that, or I have like, I'd go home a day early because we'd have 2 arena dates and then they'd have a festival date. Then I'd, book myself at L.A. Jackson, or, I had my Harriet's gig on Sunday afternoon. I did Soho House poolside Sunday afternoons. Mm-hmm. So I was still working when I was in town, and then I had Virgin. I had that Virgin gig every Wednesday. So then any Wednesday that I wasn't leaving earlier, I'd do Virgin, and then I'd hop on the bus, and leave out. So making sure that I was still invested in my city, that I wasn't just like, hey, I'm out, because you never know what's going to happen in the next year.
Yeah.
You can go out without a gig at that level for 6 months to a year. We all know that. So you got to kind of have your,
Can't put all the eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you. The way that you guys tour work, because if you're doing like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday show, are you guys basically just on the bus to the next city right away, or do you have opportunities to play at places in that city and do like after parties? Yeah,
so bus call is usually around like maybe 1 a.m. and we pull out at 2.
Okay.
So there was a couple times. So I had a really cool situation, which is probably a once in a lifetime type of situation. But I had my own bus.
Okay.
And not my own bus, but like
you're not the only one on it.
It's just me and one other guy.
Yeah.
So TR has a tequila brand called Dos Primos.
Yeah.
2 cousins. And he brought out a Dos Primos rep for the tours here, who handled, his name's Corey Balsamo, who's a New York cat. But he was in charge of handling the activations and the VIP experiences. So then his goal was, let's find places that we can integrate, the tequila brand and do activations afterwards.
Yeah.
Things like that. So we set up a couple after parties, which then I don't think they really panned out, but then they ended up working out to where I did stuff here in town when I got back in town. You know what I'm saying? But what it really was, this was kind of for future type of, situations. If they have me back, you never want to assume, this year was for me to just take in as much information and just kind of see what was what.
Yeah.
But in future instances, knowing how this whole thing works, reaching out and leveraging those relationships that I built on this one to say, hey, this tour is announced. Let's set up some after show, because I get done at 9. The show gets done at 11.
But you're done DJing at 9 when Thomas as soon as he's on,
or
you're
9:30.
done.
Yeah. Then I could just take my gear and run to the next spot.
Yeah. And then if you don't got to be back to the bus till 1, I mean, you could do an 11 to 1 set, dip out and be back to the bus too.
Exactly.
And especially if you're doing stuff like a brand activation, I mean, with a liquor company, I feel like that's so much easier for a venue to buy into because people are going to just try it.
Yep.
Especially if they're able to put whatever money toward the venue. I mean, that's always just easy stuff to do. And then it gets you out in another city, gets you paid a little bit more too. But then as far as just being able to connect with a whole new demographic outside of Nashville and in a different city too is huge.
Yeah.
And then building connections with another venue who then when you are off tour, or let's say you're not doing a tour the next year, you have that connection build where you're like, hey, I just DJ'd at this venue in Boston and now I have a residency there every month or every quarter, whatever it's going to be.
Sure.
Just off of those.
Right.
So it's huge.
And that's that was the goal. I went into tour this year with a mindset of make as big of impact as possible, as little of a footprint.
Yeah.
So then that translated into just meet people and create relationships, and then use that in future instances, betting on that, in future instances to create those type of opportunities for myself. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
What's your ideal setup on tour?
Gear wise?
Yeah.
So what I took out this year was the DDJ Rev 7 Pioneer DJ,
Yeah.
I bought that specific for it's rugged, it's heavy, it feels so good in the hands. I love the spinning platters. It's either that or CDJ 3000s and an S11.
Yep.
Even though I love the 900 Nexus sound card, puts out twice as much power. Just the functionality of that S11 with the switches, the hot cues, and the effects, because they have 6 built-in effects on one side. Then I can program 6 effects, which then you can blend together to make your own custom effects. That's unbeatable,
Yeah.
So it was either that setup or the Rev 7. The Rev 7 ended up just being easier just because I could actually take that home with me when I needed to. And then so I just stuck with that.
Yeah, that's actually what I have is the Rev 7, and then I have a S11 too. So those
sick.
are you're right on board with me, man. Those are perfect ones. When you're on tour at all, did you have any tech failures that you had to recover from?
Nothing tech wise that happened. There's maybe a show where I've have a bumble or so where I'd bump the fader or something like that. The biggest time that I fell on my face, bro, the United Center.
Okay.
The home of Michael Jordan, I'm in my last set, bro, and I'm going for it. And I thought the United Center would be kind of wild. And it was kind of this one of those type of crowds already. And I'm going into one of my biggest transitions. And I don't know how it happened. To this day, I still don't know how it happened. But I was going into Get Low, and I picked the wrong song. I picked Get Low, the pop version or the pop artist, whoever that is.
Yeah.
And I heard the song happen, and I remember just people in the front of the house just turning around looking at me like, "What's up, man?" And I'm like, and then and so I just had my head down there, had to recover and find a good song, kind of get us back on path and just kind of ride the rest of it out, And I beat myself up a little bit about it. But it was just one of those, it's one of those things, man.
Yeah.
was one of those failures. Now that you got it out of the way, you're not afraid of anything.
You're like, it's only going to happen once.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
It. Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
never going to do it again.
I changed the way that I organized my crates and everything after that. Like, I built a specific set for that 25 minutes, like a crate, which I just like went off of memory and just kind of knew where everything was. And I was like, never again. Not in these high level settings will I give myself those type of variables. So, it was a
not
lesson.
leaving any room for mistakes after
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
Right.
Outside of DJing, we were talking about it a little bit before, but you do have your own brand, Off-Brand Entertainment. Just tell us a little bit about that and kind of what the goals are, short term, long term, and then what you guys are doing, how you got it started.
Yeah.
Give me some details.
Off-Brand Entertainment is a production house. Our main goal is to legitimize music that's kind of off brand, off culture from what's here in the city. Because there's a lot of talent here. There's a lot of killers here that are players, musicians, and they don't get seen as much in town because everybody's looking one specific direction. And that's just the way our city's built. So I have a passion for all types of music, and I have a passion for people, and I have a passion for people that don't get seen as much as they would like to be seen. So then this was like a 10-year vision that kind of came into fruition a year, maybe 2 years ago. And I work alongside my best friend, Zachariah Witcher, who plays bass. I mean, he's played bass for Brett Eldridge. He plays bass currently for Kev Mo. He plays with the New Respects, which is a really dope rock band here in town. And so we're building a business based on taking the artist's vision for their music and making it translate live to stage. So any concert you go to, there's a musical director that's responsible for the musical direction of the show, like the horizontal timeline. That's what we do. From the indie artist to the label artist, ultimately getting to that point where we can do full productions from top to bottom with lighting and pyro and full musical arrangements and things like that. And that's on the live music side. And on the DJ side, creating events that are really unique to the city that are just as dope as anything else somebody else would think was just generally dope in town.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's something that'd be awesome. And I mean, like we were talking about a little bit before, it is something that it has to be a little bit harder as an artist here if you aren't a country artist to get the notoriety. As talented as you can be, I feel like you could be getting overlooked just because you're not in the genre of country.
Sure.
And with that being kind of something that you're trying to uncover and get these people noticed, one, it would just be awesome to be able to get them noticed and give people the extra push that, hey, there is more than just country artists here. You can do pop, you can do R&B, you can do hip hop. The talent is still here.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen it from the ground up, Those are one of the things you don't really get to see when you're... I've been here for a very, very long time, so I've kind of seen every iteration of Nashville, at least from my perspective of it. So, and I've seen some beautiful, beautiful people come and go just because they couldn't get that support that they needed here, So yeah, that's the idea, and we're slowly and meticulously building that brand.
So what's like a short-term goal for you? Is it to be able to get the equipment and everything to start putting on like full-fledged production shows or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, our short-term goals, besides the business and branding aspect of like having a website and things like that, have artists that we can talk to tell us what they think is cool, what they like, what they don't like. Because we have the know-how. Between he and I, we have decades worth of experience running Ableton live sessions, building backing tracks for artists and things like that. So right now we're in the process of just like taking in information. We want to talk to artists. We want to know what what you're listening to right now, because that information goes into like how we transition from this song to this song. We can we can interpolate this musical idea from this artist that you like and make that into a transition, so things like that. So right now we're gathering information. And then playing our own gigs, because when we play our own gigs, it brings opportunity to pull people into the direction of who we are and what we're doing on a larger scale.
Yeah.
So I have some things cooking as a DJ in town that I'm going to put the off-brand name on.
Nice.
Things like that.
And start being able to throw some of your own events that way too. Exactly. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
As far as collaborating with anybody in the city, or even just anyone that you can think of, who are people that you would like to be collaborating with? Whether it's
in the city or just in general?
Both. Give me both. Give me
Okay.
in the city, and whether it's like musically or brand wise, as a DJ, as a musician, just some people that you like to work with.
That's a big ask, bro. My favorite producer right now is Dave Nunes. He's from Amsterdam, and he does a lot of stuff with like SARS and Ashake, and so a lot of like the Afro artists and things like that. And his level of production is amazing, and I'm in love with it. So as a producer, I'd love to at least work with him, and get some of that knowledge and perspective. From a brand standpoint, in the world, I really like James Oro, the sunglasses.
Okay.
My favorite sunglass brand.
Yeah.
So I would love to do stuff with them, whatever events that they would have going on. And honestly, from a local standpoint, this type of stuff, I got together with, Tanner, DJ Tanner, maybe a few weeks ago. We started working on like an edit on something. And, so for me in Nashville, it's more important for me just to build community here. So it doesn't need to be like a huge brand or anything. I just want to make friends with people that are like super dope, and that we can just get to know each other and just make a movement happen here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but if it's a global type of thing, then yeah, some of the bigger brands like James Oro, and that's ultimately the goal, is like when I'm not doing tour stuff, being the DJ that's called for those type of things, those type of events, unveilings and whatever things they have going on. To be a tastemaker. So, I wouldn't mind like a Nike type of situation or whatever, that's just an example.
Where you're not doing corporate, just doing hotels, you're doing
corporate. I get to be a person that's saying, hey, this is really cool, come to the thing. And then people are like, oh, I want to be where the cool people are. So, I guess the important thing to me is just like integrity. You got to have good integrity as a brand. Like as a business person, I understand we're all after the bag and everything like that, but you can't be skeezy chasing down money, because that's the type of people. Those are the type of brands I don't work with, because there's a lot of guys, a lot of good guys, in a lot of the rooms in town. But I'm just very careful about what type of brands I associate with myself with and things like that.
People that are doing things for the right reason,
Exactly.
not just doing it because they're going to get a check for
Exactly.
it. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like there is a lot of people that will kind of devalue themselves, whether it's as a DJ, artist, brand, whatever, just because they can get a check from it, as opposed to to staying with the morals and the objective of what they really want the brand to be.
Right. And we want to make sure that the brand stays strong for a long time.
Yeah.
Not just for whatever the opportunity is now.
Yeah, got you.
So,
I mean, as far as you've talking about that, it's a perfect little segue into something that I did actually want to hit too, where doing stuff like this and being on tour with a big artist, and then obviously having your own brand outside of it. How are you working like your social media, your branding, whether it's networking with these crowds while you're out on tour, when you're coming back home, doing these events, like you're talking about going out to dinner, going out to lunch, just meeting with people, and just kind of putting yourself and your brand, whether it's on social media, in person, out there to people, so that way you're building yourself.
Yeah, it's a great question. The focus of 2024 for Daniel Ian Jones, the brand, is personal branding, right? Personal branding is, what do people think about when they think about you, right? And so the things that I care about are the things that I'm learning and I'm working to learn how to distill into useful information to be on the internet that people associate with me.
Okay.
Right. So like posting you playing a set or a short mini set is cool, but that's not your brand. That's the service you provide. Right. So what I'm talking more on the internet about things that I care about. I'm showing my face more. I hate being in front of the camera. I love being the guy behind the scenes, and I love just like sticking myself in a corner and just letting the work speak for itself. But that's not how branding works. You know what I'm saying? So I'm taking the risks and putting my face in front of the camera. And I'm speaking openly about the things that I care about as a way to identify a problem in the world, and then what I do to solve that problem. Because that's what personal branding is, right?
Yeah.
It's not just what people, it's what people think about you when you, or it's what people think about when they think about you. And then also what people know that you provide in terms of solving a problem, and then who you're solving that problem for. So at this stage of the game, in the first quarter of 2024, my goal is to talk. It's to talk about things that I care about. It's to put my face on those things in hopes to identify a problem, which then I am identified with solving, and then identifying the people who I'm solving it for. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's what my social media is using. Is that I'm using? That's what I'm using my social media for now.
Yeah.
Right. Moving into the next quarter, my goal is to start working on the aesthetic portion of that. You know, because I want to be very careful about not just posting for the sake of like it's the internet, but like I need you to know what my mission is, and then I need you to know that like I'm a dope human. Well, I'm a good hang. You know what I'm saying? And then we can talk about, you know, the services I provide as well. I'm posting more videos of myself playing. I'm practicing a whole bunch right now. There's skills that I don't have that I would like to have. So I'm working on those type of things so that I can, you know, level up in those ways, post that on the internet, in hopes to not only maintain the tours and, you know, those markets, but have just solid effectiveness in anything that I say, this is what I want, or if I tell the public, this is the cool place to be, or this is what you should care about, I have just a greater sense of effectiveness and reach.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because people start to trust you from what they're seeing from you, your brand, hearing from you,
right?
All that kind of stuff too. So,
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Yeah, I've always been really bad at social media because I crave authenticity, and social media is not real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I'm in the same boat. Like I tell myself every week, I'm like, man, I got to post more on social media. I got to post. And then it's like the last thing I posted was 4 months ago.
Sure. You know,
like even between myself and like my girlfriend, it's like there's so many pictures that we take or whatever. It's like, and then I just never end up posting them. So they just sit in a camera roll, and then like nobody gets to see the things that you're doing outside of what you're putting on your story DJing.
Sure. Well, I will push you to post your stuff.
Yes.
Because I'm learning, bro, like people don't want to buy your services until they know about you.
Yeah.
That is such a simple concept.
It really is.
You know?
And it's like the more, I mean, you see it now with the people that are blowing up on social media where it's like they might not be the best DJ or a good DJ at all, but they're getting booked because they're utilizing social media.
Exactly.
And it's like, why can't we be doing the same thing? So,
well, I mean, to that point, the last point I'll make about that is, you know, the art matters.
Yeah.
The art matters more than the marketing. And I think we're in a world now where marketing is more important than anything. And I think that some of us want to hold on to that reality or hold on to that belief of like our craft, you know, because if we go into the marketing, we're going to dilute somehow this thing that we've loved for so long. But you just got to be careful, you know? And I think that sometimes it's not even overthinking it. I post things that I think are a bit arbitrary about myself, and those sometimes get the biggest hits on my page.
yeah.
You know, I'll post just a picture of me standing outside, and I get the most likes out of anything. And I'm just like, okay, paradox.
You're like, damn, I love the aesthetic of this. You're
just like so paradoxical, but it's just like people want to know who you are.
Yeah.
And then they'll trust you, and then they'll buy what you are selling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Personal branding.
We got to get on it then. So
yeah, and I'll push you, bro. That's facts.
Let's do it. I got a bunch in the bank. I got to put it out.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm gonna hit you with some of these rapid fire questions, and then we'll get you out of here, man. So first one we'll hit you with. I know it's not gonna be Amapiano, but What is one genre of music that you would erase from your library forever?
I would erase from my library forever? Yep. Oh, that's tough, man. That's a tough one. I would have to say, I'm going to make so many people mad with this. T-Swift.
Not even just a genre, just her in general.
No, okay. So the point of that is like, it's not, I love T-Swift, but it's blocking so much other stuff right now.
Yeah.
You know, no, let's go with another answer. I don't think I like that answer. I'll say, God, I don't have an answer to that question.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer to that question. I love too much music.
What about like you play like dubstep, trap? I mean, you're playing rock, metal, anything like that? Like,
bro, I've got best friends that are in like hardcore bands.
Yeah.
So I've gone to so many of their shows and I love their music because of that type of stuff. So like, I don't know if I have an answer to that question, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, then we're sticking with T Swift.
I guess we're sticking with T Swift.
She's gone. If you could, I mean, we were already talking about who you'd want to collaborate with. So if you could play a set with any other DJ, who would you pick?
Ooh, honestly, Dave Nunes. I already said it, but Dave Nunes is the guy right now.
Yeah,
yeah,
that would still be the go-to.
Yeah, I think it's the go-to right now. Yeah.
Where would you want to do it?
Probably South Africa, or Bali, or Spain.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably one of those. Yeah.
What is your go-to excuse when people come up and request a song and you know you're not going to play it?
Ooh, definitely. Yeah, I don't know if that's just like that's just not where we're at right now, man. Maybe give me like 30, 45 minutes and see where I'm at then.
And just hope that they're gone by that time.
Facts.
Yeah. I always like seeing people's excuses. I'll just be like, yeah, man, I got you. And just never play the shit. They come back up like 10 minutes later. I'm like, damn, all right. What's your all-time favorite track to drop mid-set, get the people going?
I like Bring 'Em Out by T.I., man.
Okay.
I like Bring 'Em Out Into Uproar by Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Like that's like a heater. And sitting in that zone for a little bit, I feel like
that 100 BPM.
Yeah.
That's like probably my favorite pocket of tempo wise to play. Yeah.
That's the hip hop we came up with.
Yeah. It's good. Bring 'Em Out will be a forever classic all the time, where you can drop it and it's just one that's always going to work. So that's a good one, man. Yeah, I mean, that's it. What you got? Anything else that you want to push out? Any future projects we need to know about? Anything coming up?
I'm working on an edit pack currently in the Amapiano like global type of range, just because I want to flex that muscle a little bit, or work those muscles, really understand the language. So I've got a couple edits that I'm going to drop here in the spring. One of them is out for mixing right now. And then I've got one that I'm working on that I'm probably going to release probably somewhere in May or June. Okay. Hopefully having an edit pack by like midsummer, like a 5-song edit pack.
What are you putting out on Patreon, Bandcamp, SoundCloud?
It'll be Bandcamp, SoundCloud. Type thing.
Nice.
Really, I just want to drop it. I don't even want to make money from it. So SoundCloud would be the go-to. Just 100% I want to just expand my market as much as possible. Yeah. That's where I'm at right now. So
dope. Anything else?
Yeah, tours. We're currently looking at what the scene looks like for 2024. I found that I'm in a very unique position, even though like the way that I did my job on TR's tour was very unique. I mean, TR is a very unique guy, and he has a very unique approach. So I'm learning as I'm looking for more tours with my management. We're learning that uniqueness needs a unique space. Okay. So I'm looking for those type of spaces right now.
Yeah, just trying to find the right fit for you.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking at as far as touring goes. Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, man, I just want to say thank you again for taking the time to come over, sit down, talk. It was awesome just hearing from you and a lot of your experience that you have. Sure. Picking your brain and getting to know you. So it was awesome to sit down and talk to you.
Man, you ask good questions.
Yeah, I take a lot of time prepping for this stuff. Sure, so I know it took a little bit to get over to you, but I like to do some research and try and think of some good stuff that'll not be the same boring conversation you might have with every single person that talks to you about DJing. So, totally. But yeah, I mean, if you guys are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Leave Daniel any comments that you guys got. Give him a follow. I'll put all his socials and everything in the description. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us that review. Leave some comments on there. Make It Now Media, if you guys are needing any of those graphics. Spring's coming up. Put that spring monthly flyer, whatever you got to do. Get refreshed. They will do a great job. Quick turnaround for you there, too. I'm DJ Dex. Daniel's here. Thank you again. We'll see you guys next week. Check. Mic check. 1, 2.
Yo, is this thing on or what?